The European Union has formally approved a stepwise ban on Russian gas imports, marking one of the most far-reaching energy decisions since the Ukraine war began. The regulation phases out both pipeline gas and liquefied natural gas from Russia, with a full LNG ban from January 2027 and pipeline gas imports ending by autumn 2027. Brussels calls it energy independence. Critics inside the EU are calling it economic self-harm. The European Commission says the move is central to its REPowerEU strategy to end reliance on Russian energy. The regulation introduces strict monitoring of gas origins, heavy financial penalties for violations, and mandatory national diversification plans. While EU leaders argue the stepwise approach will limit market shocks, the decision has immediately triggered resistance from some member states. Hungary has mounted the strongest pushback. Foreign Minister Szijjarto Péter warned that banning Russian oil and natural gas directly contradicts Hungary's national interests and will severely impact households and industry.
Without Russian resources, 3 times bills would come. The ban on the purchase of Russian oil and natural gas is strongly contradictory to the interests of Hungary. If we can't buy oil and natural gas from Russia, it means that the number of families' energy can increase threefold, and factories can be in a difficult situation due to the increase in prices.
Budapest has announced it will challenge the EU decision in court, accusing Brussels of bypassing treaty rules and national sovereignty by disguising sanctions as commercial regulation.
This law is a huge legal fraud because it contains a sanction that would have required a unanimous decision. However, in order to avoid the opposition of sovereign national governments, this decision was hidden in a commercial arrangement. Thus, the majority was satisfied. Moreover, this decision is completely contrary to the European Union's own rules of law, because the European Union's agreement on its operation clearly states that it is up to the nations to decide what kind of energy suppliers they buy and bring. This is a huge legal fraud, contrary to the interests of Hungary. The ban on the purchase of Russian oil and natural gas means a huge increase in prices. This is what Brussels wants. This is what the TISA party wants. We, however, as a sovereign national government, will stop this.
Moscow has seized on the growing divide inside the European Union. Russia's foreign ministry says the ban proves that EU states have surrendered their independence and merely swapped one dependency for another.
It's difficult to determine for sure yet whether these are happy vassals or unhappy slaves. Time will tell, but in any case, they have given up their freedom.
As the EU presses ahead with the ban, the fallout is no longer just about gas. Hungary is preparing a legal confrontation. Russia is amplifying the narrative of lost sovereignty. And the bloc faces growing questions over price shocks, energy dependence, and political unity. What Brussels calls energy security is fast becoming one of the deepest internal crises the European Union has faced in years.